Did we get the up inside?
Yeah, there is no, yeah.
My name is Michael John Buckley, I'm a member of Clyne Harriers. Primarily we're from Blarney Street. Most of the members are from Blarney Street and surrounding areas. We're a very strong club, we're there for the last 50 or 60, 55 years. My father was a founder member of the club. He lived in Blarney Street as well, and so like there was never a day in my life that they went to hound outside in the back garden. Like when we moved up we lived in Bakers Road, in the Grand Bar side of it. Father had dogs up there which we were grown, we were born and reared up there. But there was never a day they wouldn't the dog out the back garden. And even when I got married, my wife's family were into the hounds as well. So we bought a house below in Blarney Street, and when I came back, I told you, when I came back from the honeymoon, I had about 13 dogs out the back. That would include pups now as well, the hounds and terriers and things like that. Like. So which when I think about it now, how I was able to walk up the Blarney Road. But she was well into the dogs as well. Her family were great doggy people. Like. They were a different club, they were belonged to Northern United. And we're one of the strongest clubs there at the moment, you know. Like. It's hard to keep dogs in the city now anymore, though. Like a couple of years ago, you walk up around Knocknaheeny or Fairhill and places like that, and you'd meet four or five different people walking down. Summer's evening, you walk up Nash's Boreen, like, you could meet a dozen people coming down towards you, but they'd be all different clubs and things like that. No? But unfortunately, like, a lot of them after passing, after leaving this world, like, them people kept dogs under the stairs inside houses and things like that. Like, so how could you do that anymore? No, I mean.
On this I ponder, where'er I wander, and the scruff under sweet Cork of
We're at the start of Nash's Boreen, on the Fairhill side of it, between the Fairfield, and between the Fairfield and Hollyhill entrance, This area would have been famous in the north side, like it is the stronghold of drag hunting, One time you had 4 clubs sharing this venue, You had Fairhill, Northern Hunt, Northern United and Clyne Harriers, And when the drag hunts used to be on here in the summertime of the year, like, there could be 200 or 300 people, like, children from all over the place. The lads would gather out of the local pubs and come up to watch the drag hunts, You couldn't get a car up outside the pub below, like, even up the lane. There used to be hundreds of people here. Or one drag hunt, no, the Northern Hunt drag hunt. It starts below, will it be Lower Killeens, like, to be the Bog Road. And we'd start at the Blarney side of that. And the dogs would go up then for All Saints Well, which is a famous landmark in the north side, They go to All Saints Well, and they'd run parallel with the Bog Road, then a place called what we call the Nobby. They'd come down then, they'd cross the Bog Road, the red gates as we call it, like, and they'd run in them from the Pearshicks. They'd come up by the back in the Pearshicks pitch. They'd come in all here, the stone wall as we call it. We'd cross Nash's then up further and up for the Crappy Bay, which is a famous mark in the north side, in the troubled times, like, behind the water tower, yeah. And we'd run out then for Faggot Hill. We'd run down the side of Faggot Hill, and we'd be back into the finish, We used to run a lot of practice drags here on this spot years ago, the Haggart we used to call it, it's been known as the Haggart.
And the rounds may pass as we drink in a token of love. Here's to every hand that mine can expand, and to doors up in heaven above. Here's it to every hound who knows his ground, no matter where they are. To would-be Connie Dial's delight, if every dog here tonight had a heart like the armoured car.
This is more or less a working man's
Where you
sport.
feel it, what
The
it-
English keeper is an individualist.
That's right, of course. That's
Because
all.
our hounds are bought by the club.
They are,
And
but
they're
then-
given to a man whose name will come out of the hat. Is that right?
That's
and
right.
he's approved by the
That's-
committee as a good keeper for the sound.
Drag hunting, a bit like bowling, would be regarded at the time as a poor man's sport. The Harrier clubs were more small farmers and working men in both city, town and country. Whereas the hunt clubs are more gentry, landlord gentry, and large farmers with certain economic and social pretensions. They would also be involved in the big hunt clubs. But the Harrier clubs started as trencher fed. Trencher fed meant that they would group in an organisation where there might be 10, 15, 20 members, and they would feed a hound, whereas the big hunt clubs would have kennels and professional huntsmen and staff. And the Harrier clubs, as they evolved, they would be supported by farmers and working men, and the hounds would be fed in each house of the members involved in the club. The same was the case in the towns and cities, and city clubs had an advantage because there was butchers and abattoirs all around them, and they were better trained because the trainers, the men in the city clubs that owned these drag hounds, they were all working in breweries and industries around the city, draperies and all that. So they had time off. They had regular hours, and they probably had better wages vis-a-vis the country labourer who was working long hours and probably for less money. In fact, another source of nourishment for these hounds was the stout, the dregs of the stout and the porter from the breweries, which is very healthy for hounds' health. So, and then of course, as time went on, the divisions between the hunt clubs and the Harrier clubs became mixed up in nationalism, in the sense that a lot of the hunt clubs were more unionist orientated, whereas the Harrier clubs were obviously more nationalist. And during the Land War, a lot of tenant farmers boycotted the big hunt clubs and they barred them from their lands from hunting. And it was in that milieu then, or that atmosphere then, that the Harrier clubs evolved.
Come on, boys, and you'll see lads and lasses full of glee. Famous for a holiday will make your heart thrill. The boys, they will not harm you. The girls, they will all charm you. Here's luck to all, says the boys of Fairhill. Come on, boys, and spend the day with Sir Harrier club so gay. The cry of the hounds, it'll make your heart thrill. When you hear a Quinlan say, Challenger has won the new. Here's luck to all, says the boys of Fairhill.
The dogs, like you're talking about the armour car, I can go back many years, you can go back further, and so can a lot of men here, like, but there again, I think that the present dog today is far a better hound. He's bred specially for it, he don't do no hunting at all, he don't hunt the fox or the hare, and he must be a better dog, you say.
All types of hound racing evolved from natural hunting of these hounds, because they would be hunting in the winter time when they were scent, and then in the summertime then when there was no scent because the weather was too hot, and when the young were being reared, they then evolved to racing, be it track hunting, terrier racing, greyhound racing, whatever. So it was a natural progression from hunting to racing. So what evolved in was that as time went on, you have it nowadays where they bred hounds in to specialise in drag hunting. So these hounds were fitter, they were probably bigger and fitter, and they were, shall we say, trained and bred to hunt the artificial scent rather than the natural scent.
There's 2 pints of paraffin now per quarter for the pullers, and we'll add an ounce of aniseed in. That's the main part of the mix now, really. That gets the dogs around the course, you know. So that'll be given to the lads then, and they'll wet the rags there. Look, they're the rags for the hunt, you know. Divided into 4 quarters, and the lads will soak the rags then at the divide and head off through the course. And every 7 or 8 minutes, then they'll throw a small drop on at a gap, you know, throughout the course of their quarter.
I'd be 52 weeks a day following dog. Every Sunday for 52 weeks. There's no, like, unless there was something else come up, we'll go to a wedding or something like that. But I just get a bit slow, I suppose, for pulling drags and things like that now, because I'd say pull thousands of miles of drag hunting down through the years, like myself and my own club lads now, Geoffrey and Dennis and brother and them. And we pulled a lot of drags, and I used to pull a lot of drags with Gary Sullivan as well. And Adam took over then as well, he took over the running, because there's a big commitment to get a drag hunting now at the moment, like, because farmers are changing and there's a lot of catch in the country. And once they know that there's no killing or no horses or anything involved, there's a drag hunting sport, like that the dogs will go where the man is after going before them. Like, a lot of them will understand that kind of that system, and they give you leave to go through, you know.
The amount of work that goes into these drag hunts, lads, it is nearly a 2-week process, being honest, you know. First of all, we have to get a good vantage point for the start and the finish, you know, and a car park. They're one of the most important things, really, you know, because it is a viewing sport, and we need a good view, especially on the finish. We don't want to be stuck behind ditches, not be able to view the dogs, you know. You see the crowd there now with the binoculars and the kids with their binoculars, you know, just to see and get a view of them coming in, you know. So that'll be the first thing. The next thing then is the farming community, like, they have to be asked, you know, and without them, we'd have no sport. So I'd like to take this opportunity too, just to the various areas that we do go through week in, week out. We'd like to say 1,000 thanks to you, because without them, we'd have no sport. And their cooperation is paramount. Like, this drag now today, there could have been anywhere from 10 to 20 odd farmers that have to be seen. And like that, the lads come out during the week, we'd pick a line of country, you know. We'd see, the first thing to do anyway is avoid livestock. That's our first thing, like, you know. And to be fair, the farmers do move them out of the way for us. It's a summer sport, so the animals are out. You know, but 99% of them, there's no problem. They go above and beyond to help us. They'd move the cattle, and basically then, like, it's just a matter of seeing the farmers and getting the road crossings right. And we'd walk it then midweek, just to see what's out and what we have to avoid, and we walk it then again 24 hours before it, so the lads know where they're going. And, you know, that's, but like that, like, the lads there now, like, on the committee especially, there's a lot of younger lads on the committee now this year, you know, and we've young families, like, and it is a big commitment on the committee, like, you're trying to be out here after work at 5-6 o'clock, trying to get things done. Same on Saturday, we're here all day now again, today now since maybe 11:30, 11:45, you know, so there's a great amount of work goes into it, you know. You know, we are going to keep it.
On a general Sunday, they run 10 miles, so it would take them about 28 to 30 minutes. They're jumping ditches or dikes or whatever, and they're running at some speed. And the animals are such a lovable animal. If you look around there in a minute, you'll see people, even at the start, and the people, and they're kissing them and all before they go off. But I think the most important thing is the competing as well, because remember, there can only be one winner, and I think people just love to see their dogs run and come home unscathed. And that's important. And that's, you know, I've seen dogs finish a half a mile behind, and they're getting a welcome at the finish that, you know.
All my family were involved in drag hunting. My father, my grandfather, my aunts, uncles, going back, I'd say, over 60, 70 years. My grandfather, Johnny O'Mahony, he was heavily involved in Northern Hunt, and I was going to drags as a young lad, and I used to enjoy them, going out on a Sunday. Then as I got older, I got my first dog, and I just liked the joy of it, the joy of walking the dogs, training pups, especially the pups, training as a young lad, you know, and training the pups as from very young, from 6 months up to their one, and it's the enjoyment of getting them to go around the trail, getting them to line up in their first drag, finish the drag. It's not about winning, but the real enjoyment is seeing your dog go around the course for the first time. And look, if you get a ticket, then it's kind of that's an added bonus. But it's all about getting the dogs out every week. It's fun. It's an old traditional sport in Cork and Kerry and Cumbria, so it's about keeping the sport going as well.
Well, you're looking for a nice shaped head, you know, and a good stand, good front shoulders, and you know, a dog that's basically pleasant, you know, to the eye, really. Yeah. Yes.
Just even their conformation and their stance, and how athletic they would be as well, like, and their hind quarters and stuff, and their front legs and their toes, and they're all good and.
They're standing well, yeah. First,
second, and third. Yeah. It's just an overall one, so you can just bring them all in. Yeah. Sick. Eva has a torch for drag hunting as well. So, you know, sometimes she'd pull a drag with us, so it's keeping her active, as well as camogie and basketball and football. So yeah, they love it.
When you first get them, they're like really noisy and they're nervous and stuff. But then they're really small. They're about that size maybe, and then they just get bigger and bigger, and they get to know you and stuff. So they're not that hyper or nervous anymore.
I suppose they're treated like pets, you know, like they're on even though, because they are athletes, because they're running over, pups run over about a 5 mile course, and when they progress into the adult grade, it goes up to about a 10 mile course. So you kind of treat them as athletes, you know, by the food you give them. It's all lean stuff, especially in the racing season, but they're part of the family. They're pets, you know, you treat them as pets. We have them from 6 months old right up to their 8, 9 or 10, you know, so they kind of race in the senior maidens up to they're about 6. This year we introduced a new grade, which is veterans, and it's for dogs over 6 years of age, and it gives them a chance to continue racing, to do what they love doing, and that's us out racing in the country, cross country.
My aunt is involved there, Martina. Martina has 6 dogs at home, and the whole lot of them are retired. She don't have one dog running, do you know? So they're a part of the family. She'll keep them till the day they die. A lot of us, look, there's a lot of vets there that we use, you know, that would be kind of very familiar with the drag hunting dogs, you know. And they pick up knocks and niggling injuries, the same as anything else, you know. But there's a lot of good vets in Cork, you know, and a lot of the lads there's good vets up in Tipperary there as well, in Kerry, you know. So they'd specialise with greyhounds and injuries, that kind of way, you know. So unfortunately they pick up knocks and bangs, you know, but it's all about giving them a chance to heal up and get them going again, you know. But it's the same as any sport, like, just like a rugby player or a boxer or a hurler who does niggling injuries with it too, you know. But so look, all the lads here know what they're doing, and look, the dog's welfare is paramount. You know, they're treated, they're fed better than boxers, like.
Yeah, I suppose they get the best of feeding, really, all them racing dogs. You'd only look at them on a Sunday, they'd be in immaculate condition. Most of the all of them really. They're fed better. They reckon they're fed better than themselves, because my particular dog, no, just like everyone does the same, but she'd get chicken and beef, like boiled chicken and beef at the same time, and she'd get rice and pasta, brown bread. Most of the time, some you'd have to know your own dog to know what to give him. But I found that would be the best feeding for her. No, she'd get raw meat, no, but I didn't think that was suiting enough, so I was buying it, and then she came better than the end of it.
Could we interview the dog?
This is Paige, this is my girlfriend's niece, and she gives me a hand there from time to time, in fairness to her now, when she comes out to the drags, and she'll help me any way she could, you know. We have an old pup now for next year as well, so hopefully now she'll give me a hand and keep the old flag flying, won't we?
Probably.
My grandfather, God rest him, he was chairman of the association as well back in '98, you know. So it is a good family tradition, and my grandmother Brenda, as I call her, being a nutritionist, she don't come to as many drag hunts now, but still she's a great help at home. She's the backbone of it, being honest, you know. She looks after all the feeding for us, she boils all the meat, buys everything for us. She has all the feeding ready for us and helps us out any way we can, and we'd be lost only for her at home. She makes things a lot easier on myself and my father when it comes to training the dogs anyway, you know. So she'd be there, I often see her out feeding them and washing them out and things like that.
No, she's getting a bit age, she's going on a bit age now, obviously. But she's a very healthy woman, but she's very good at the moment. She's a good woman as well. She had to be with Gary because like, she only see her, she's been married to Gary 50 or 60 years. She's only seen him about 30 times, 30 years I'd say. The other 30 years he was out in the countryside. Gary often came in, I often see Gary coming in after a day's walk, like it could be 11 or 12 o'clock at night, like, and he'd take out the dogs in. He'd take out the dogs with he'd have the other time, he'd be out for half an hour or no. He'd have to walk him before he come back, before he go to bed. He was that dedicated to the sport now. It's just a story, didn't it? Myself and Gary went down to, we were finding it hard to get courses for the drag hunting. Christy Keaton, no, myself and Gary and Christy Keaton. Bernard Allen was the Minister for Sport. And we went down to, he had a clinic below there in Pat's Barry, I think down there Mulberry Road or something like that. But we had a meeting with the man to see could he get a course for us on mountain course, like it would be a park course we call it. We could run road getting permission on. But we went into him and he was sitting down at the table and he said, "You're looking for a mountain?" We said, he said, "You're looking for a mountain." Gary was there and we were laughing about it now because like he was a Minister for Sport. We wanted him to see someone else about it. And he said, "This fella's coming here, they're looking for golf courses and they're looking for football pitches." He said, "But there's never anyone came here looking for a mountain."
Harry O'Sullivan, who's the chairman of Cork City County and Harriers, and who's here at Sugrane and Castlevine for the Kerry Beagle Association First Drag of the Year. Gary, welcome to Kerry.
Thank you very much indeed, and we are very pleased to be able to come today. It's a splendid course. Puppy Drag Hunt was a very good drag hunt, and it's the way forward for our sport to get all three associations running together on the one day, now and again. It makes for good relationships and so forth.
Jaws and Northern Hunt, they're right up there. The Cock Dogs are packing very well here in the closing stages of this first puppy drag here in Sugrane, outside Castlevine, home of the great Iron Man Murphy, of course, who came from Sugrane here.
Gary, I suppose you've been coming to Kerry and to South Kerry with many a long year?
Since I was a child, actually. I can remember all the great hounds that ran in Kerry, like the White Joker now and Lasher Killow, many more of them, you know. And as a matter of fact, the foundation for the Cock Dogs was built on the dogs that they bought from Kerry before the 1960s. All the top dogs in Cork were really dogs that came from Kerry. Do you know, it was a marketplace for buying dogs up, bringing up to Cork and running. But then the scene changed a bit and we had a house in Cumbraden and coming in a different animal, completely quicker and faster dog, you know. So the market in Kerry didn't die for a bit, but look, the hounds that are competing today now for the Kerry Beagle Association are the very same bloodlines as our own. So in that respect, things have evened up a good bit, you know.
So John Paul Shuckro's dog, he's in fourth place, a very good fourth for the Kerry dog. Would keep time of one, a wee fifth coming in there, and a surprise skipper of IHT in Cork, and the other dogs coming through there.
Kerry Beagle is a famous hound going way back 1700s. Because of the penal laws and because of the trade restrictions in Ireland by the British government, there was a lot of smuggling coming in from France and Spain, wine, clothes, textiles, that kind of thing. But also hounds. And a hound that came into Kerry was the Talbot, a French hunting hound, the Talbot. And also coming into Kerry was the Scotine Black and Tan, and seemingly that the Kerry Beagle was bred from a mixture of the Talbot and the Scotine and others as well. And he became famous for his stamina, hunting the mountains, his stamina and his keenness.
It was the dog would make the man, really. Like. If you have a good dog, he'd make the man. Like. Because you could be given the same dog, the same thing for 10 years, and one dog would win on the feed, you know, given other dogs wouldn't win on him. He wasn't just good enough because most of the people are very good trained. They'd be doing the best with their dogs. But as I said, every dog you see in the Sunday, you see them yourself, they'll be in very good condition. You know? They just love to run, that's what they're bred for. You run them a short race, they don't want to stop, they pass you on, they try to go around the second time. Like.
This is what they're bred to do, you know. They're happiest when they're running. You know, but sometimes some of them, they do go astray. No, they wouldn't go too far. Like, you know, you'd always look, there's lads out the roads watching them, all the vantage points are covered, you know. And there's good, as you saw it, I know yourselves today, the phones are ringing. He's third, he's fourth, he's last, you know where they are. You know what I mean? You could have the speed merchants now that will fly out to start for the first 10 or 15 minutes, you know. But in my opinion, it'll be the dog that'll lie back and sit in the first 10 or 12, you know. Like after 10 or 12 minutes running now in the Senior All Ireland, there should be 10 to 15 dogs kind of away, you know, and it should be that then kind of battling it out, you know. But like long ago when the dogs used to finish over the gap and there was no call, it was the day for the driving dog. And what I call what the driving dog is now, the dog that goes out and leads it from start to finish.
Pike is out on his own. He's going to win this one handy here in this puppy drag. This dog just a year old since as he comes to the finish there.
Tick all the boxes. You needed a hound that had a very good nose, that was fast, and that would, as they say, keep his mouth shut. That he wouldn't be yodeling and howling while he was running the trail. Because if a hound was that way, he'd be drawing the back hounds into him from behind. But if you were a silent hound, they would get away from him and keep going.
But since we introduced the call, as you saw now today there, it's better atmosphere. Like when I say they come over the ditch now, we be in behind the first dog to come over the ditch and hit the ground when there was no call. So it was shh, the dogs are coming, you know. Whereas there's a lot better atmosphere here now when the lads are calling, you know. But the day for the driving dog, like he wouldn't see the crowd or anything, you know. He could lead it from start to finish and just pop over the ditch. That's kind of gone now as such. You're waiting for the dog that will just lie in and hold back and have the kick on the call, you know. Like there's dogs there now that are capable of coming from, they could come in the first 4 there and win it. You know what I mean? It's all about the call now, to have the kick on the finish. That's the name of the game now at the moment, you know. What you'll be looking for in the Senior All Ireland is just something that will lie in and bide its time. And once it kind of hitting the 40-minute mark, 42-minute mark, do you know, he's only biding his time as such. Do you know what I mean? Just wait till the crowd comes in and the call goes up then and gone. For the stranger to see 70 fellas inside the field shouting and roaring, waving dishes, you know. Once you know what's going on and stuff, look, 'tis a great. But in my opinion, it's one of the best sports, and I think it's the best sport in the world, you know. I'd be a bit biased with it now, because I'm at it since I'm a child, like, but, you know, we all get a kick out of it. We wouldn't be here otherwise, you know. You see our dog coming over the line there in front, like, it's like, all the lads here will tell you the same. It's the best feeling in the world, like, you know. You're out there before work. We're walking them, feeding them, giving them the best treatment that you can, and for them to repair there and come over the line there and get a win, especially on the big days there. That's what it's all about. You know what I mean?
Well done, girl. Well done, Winnie. Well done, girl.
Like the dedication that goes in, it's like looking after a child, basically. You know, they're such a kind animal, and I think for any kids, you know, times have changed so much. Even though you will see a few kids around here today, you know, getting people involved has become the biggest challenge in the sport at the moment. And like, you know, may I add that for people that do not know the sport, it would be worth any Sunday. The coverage is on Tuesday and Friday on the Echo, so that people will know where to go. But just to see these animals in action, it's a fantastic sight, you know.
So look, the dogs enjoy it just as much as ourselves, you know. You can see it there now today, it is what they're bred to do. They wouldn't be going around doing it if they didn't enjoy it, you know. And so look, at the end of the day, it is a sport, you know. We all come out and enjoy ourselves. And as long as the dogs come home and we have them and we line them up again and go next week, that's what it's all about, you know. There's great friendships there. There's rivalries too, same as any sport, you know. We're like friendly rivalries, you know. You have to have a bit of crack as well. And we'll go back and do the presentation there later on, and there'll be a couple of points tonight and no sing-song, sure, and look, that's what it's all about.
Come on. Go on here, dog.
You can view it from Fairway if you're ever past passing by.
You go up to my house or any member of any club and I'm going to talk about the whole association in general. We wouldn't part any of our dogs, let's be honest about it, regardless of where they come from. Because we have too much mess in them, and we love them too much. And this is, you're talking about...
You know Blue was mighty true. You know Blue was a good old dog. Blue treat a possum and a hollow log. You know from that he's a good old dog. Blue treat a possum out on a limb. Blue looked at me and I looked at him. Grabbed that possum, put him in a sack. Do me and Blue till I get back. Yeah, ring, yeah, ring, yeah. Yeah, ring, yeah, ring, yeah. Old Blue's feet was big and round. Old Blue's feet was big and round. Never allowed a possum to touch the ground. Me and Blue went out on a hunt. Blue treat a possum and a hollow stump. You know Blue was a good old dog. Blue treat a possum and a hollow log. You know from that he's a good old dog. But old Blue died and I dug his grave. I dug his grave with a silver spade. I let him down with a golden chain. In every link I called his name. One Blue, you good dog, you. One Blue, you good dog, you. Blue laid down and died like a man. Blue laid down and died like a man. Nice green possum in the promised land. I'm gonna tell you this to let you know. Old Blue's gone where good dogs go. When I hear old Blue bark, when I hear old Blue bark, Blue treat a possum in Noah's Ark. Blue treat a possum in Noah's Ark.